Hello, my Flosstube friends. It's time for a special episode. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Flosstube video from me. I am Annie Joyfield Stitcher, both here on YouTube and over on Instagram. And this is a Flosstube special edition. So I thought, I've never done this before, but I thought it might be kind of cool to do a kind of year in review when it comes to what I finished this year. This year I didn't have any set goals as to what I would finish, but as it turns out, I had just over 40 finishes. I had 41 finishes. A couple of them are not here and present with me because I gifted them, and I am not good about taking pictures before I give them to the folks. But everything else I should have in my presence or have a picture of it to show you off of my device. But I'm super excited to share this with you. Typically on our weekly videos, I do hugs, 2 hugs and 1 for yourself. In an effort to keep this video short and sweet and to the point, we're going to do 1 hug and 1 for ourselves. There will be no life updates. I want to show you my finishes because this week I have planned a finish parade. I guess you call it a finish parade. I want to do a whip parade, a end of 2021, beginning of 2022 whip parade. And then I have my weekly Flosstube update. So we shall see what order these all get put up in. You may see this one first. You might see an update first. You might see whip. Whatever the case may be, thank you so much for joining me and checking out what I finished this year. I'm actually really excited to kind of reflect upon this year and what I'll finish. So let's come in for a hug. One on this side. And then we're going to hug ourselves. So we got our hugs in. I have my list of finishes to refer to. Actually, what's interesting is I started this planner just slightly before 2021, and so I actually had 2 finishes right at the very end of 2020, but I'm not showing those today. One of them was gifted already, previous Christmas, and one of them you've seen, and I count it as a 2020. So we're going to start with my first finish of 2021, and I'm going to give you brief details, but not a ton. So the first thing that I finished this on January 11th, and this is Berry Buzz. This is by Luminous Fiber Arts, and this is on a piece of, I think it's 16 count Ada from Picture This Plus. Cannot think of the name of the actual fabric. Maybe Ariel, maybe Blue Jay. I don't have that information in front of me. And I stitched it with 2 strands of the hauled for flosses, and I think it turned out super cute. So that was finish number 1. Finish number 2, I finished on January 16th, and this is Quirky Quaker Hedgehog. I stitched this in a one strand of Sulky. It's a blendable. It's like a fall blend. I cannot remember the number or the name, and this is on a piece of 18 count Picture This Plus. I think in maybe Earthen. Reminds me of Earthen, and so I love how that one turned out. The very next day, on January 17th, I finished Quirky Quaker Bat. This is also by Darling and Whimsy Designs. And I stitched this. I'm truly not sure. It was a hand-dyed floss, but as to which one it was, I think it maybe came from Forbidden Fiber Co. And this is on a piece of 16 count Ada in slate that I purchased as a long, skinny remnant from the bin at my LNS at the time. Not at this time, but prior to this. And so it's perfect for little ornament cuts. So I did finish that one. Then one of my finishes, it's here in the house, but I don't know where it is. It's Arranging Tools. And I completed that one for my husband as a gift on February 15th. I did not gift it to him until much later. Like I think I gave it to him for his birthday. Then on February 20th, I finished Deer Tier, which is a super cute chart from Hands On Design. And this was part of her White Christmas series, I believe. And this is stitched on a piece of Picture This Plus, I think 18 count Ada. Maybe in sterling, maybe in pewter. I'm not 100% sure. This was a 2019 whip, so I was super excited to get this one off my list. All the other ones were either 2020 or 2021 whips. This was another 2019 whip that I finished, And this was finished on, oops, let me, hold on, not that one. Hold that thought. I finished this one. This is Posy Go Round. This is a chart by Ink Circles. This is a Patreon exclusive chart. I chose to stitch it in all color, all color and cotton. And then I finished it. This was part of my March stitchy matchup. This was the winning project, and my goal was to have it as a fully finished. I did get it fully finished. And it's on some 16 count slate Aida from Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And then these pins were a freebie that was sent to me by someone, I can't remember. I should have more information, but I don't. But anyway, I finished this one on March 16th, which was nice. And then on March 17th, I finished this 2019 whip. This is the top of Autumn Drum that's by the Blue Flower. This is stitched on 40 count Lakeside with the silks that were called for. I bought it as a kit in 2019 from Acorns and Threads. It is an Acorn and Thread exclusive chart, and I stitched it. The initials and the year are stitched over one. I decided I wanted to just stitch the drum top because the motif that's on the side is actually featured in another Blue Flower chart that I like just as much, if not better. And so I didn't necessarily want to stitch that twice, but I did love the top of this. And it was my first 40 count piece, which was a new and interesting situation. It just reestablished the fact that there are some super advanced stitchers out there, and I still prefer my 18 count Aida. That is my sweet spot. All right, next up on April 3rd, I finished Strawberry Time. This is a chart from Barbara Anna Designs. It was originally featured in a Punch Needle Primitive Stitcher magazine issue. She's affectionately called Crodelia, and I just loved the colors. I did the called for DMC, and this is on a piece of color and cotton that came from a grab bag. So I finished that one. Then on April 7th, I finished this one. This is from Lizzie Kate, and it's Wise Men Still Seek Him. And I stitched it in, I think, the majority of the called for colors, and this is on a 32 count Lugana. It's a Picture This Plus, but I cannot for the life of me tell you what the color is. So I apologize for that, but I really enjoyed stitching that one. Then I have a finish that I do not have pictured here. I don't even have a picture of it. I need to do that when I get back to school. But I stitched for my friend. Oop, I'm skipping one, but I'm going to go ahead and tell this story. Stitched for my friend who is our school counselor because she always says, "You are loved." I stitched "You Are So Loved." I cut the "so" out from Cherry Hill Stitchery, and I finished that on April 25th. I skipped this one by accident. This is a Barbara Anna Designs that I finished on April the 11th. And this is called Holy Night. And this, I think, was in the 2020 winter holiday issue of Punch Needle Primitive Stitcher magazine. And I think it turned out super cute. And this is on, I believe, an 18 count vintage country mocha. I'm going to try to stop skipping ones. All right, this one I finished on June 18th. I decided to just stitch one of the birds because I was not super loving the linen. But this is from Prairie Birds by Prairie Schooler, and it's the Cardinals, which was my favorite one. This on a piece of 32 count Mystic linen in a blue. It doesn't have a specific dye name. And so I finished that. I think it's super cute. I am going to turn this into an ornament so it can go on my tree. I probably could have already done that, but I didn't. All right, next step on, and these are out of order on my spreadsheet, so I apologize. There's actually quite a few out of order. We are not going chronological anymore because my spreadsheet's not chronological. That's okay. We're just going to go with it. So I finished Greatest Thy Faithfulness. This was my new year, new start in 2020. So January 1st, 2020, I started this. I finished it on June 13th of 2021. There's no reason why it took me that long other than I just have so many awesome projects I love to stitch on. So this is Greatest Thy Faithfulness. It's by My Big Toe Designs, and I stitched it in colors from my stash that are close to the called for. and I love how it turned out. I think most of them are either color and cotton or Victorian motto. So I love how that one turned out. This one I actually finished in May of 2021. I finished this May 14th. This is Shepherd's Pie. It is by Plum Street. I did a modified finish. I stitched the grass and then I stitched her and the sheep. I think there was some other things that could be stitched. I also randomly did Smyrna crosses in the grass, just to give it some texture and to break things up a little bit. But I thought this was super cute. And this is on a piece, I think, of 36 count linen, possibly a lakeside linen. And why I put it right smack dab in the middle of this piece, I don't know. It's because I'm a center starter and I still haven't figured out that I don't need massive borders. All right, I also finished this one on May 14th. This is a Lizzie Kate. This is Cherish All Living Things. And I stitched this for the most part in the called for Gentle Arts. Or something close from my stash. This was one I had started previously back when I was stitching as a teenager, or early 20-something, and I had started it on a super bright yellow linen, like where you could see through it and it would stand up on its own with my own conversion. Well, I went back and started it again, and I put it on this 18 count Ada. I think it's from Be Stitch Me because she uses the lavender serging, but I could not for the life of you tell you the color. I think it's just a one-off dye. Okay, and then I finished this on May 22nd. I did a modified finish on this. This is Tiny Modernist's Love Builds a Happy Home. I chose to just, once I finished the center motif, to be done. For one, it's 2 bluebirds. I love it. I love the little bird house. And I love that this was the Love Builds a Happy Home. That's my first initial. So I just did that. And it's going to become an ornament, which I like. So next up, I finished this one in July. So we've kind of got May and June got flip-flopped. So this one I finished on July 5th. This is actually my take on Cranberry Christmas from Hands On Design. So the original says Cranberry Christmas. I recharted it to say Joy-Filled Christmas, and then stitched just the bottom cranberries and not the motif at the top. So I thought it was super cute. And one of my Flosstube friends was the one that originally suggested to maybe put Joy-Filled in there, and I love it. So thank you so much. And then here's another one out of order. Now we're back in June. This one I finished on June 2nd. This is from Cecilia Turner of Heart and Hand. She provided this chart for free in a Facebook group called Candy Cane Stitchers, and it's Christmas alphabet. I did some changes to it. A couple of things that I changed is instead of the French knots, I used beads. I'm still not 100% sold on it. I changed J, O, and Y to red for joy. And this was on a crystal wren. I think it's a 28 count Lugana in crystal wren. And I think it turned out super cute. But yeah, again, I'm not sold on the eyes, but I tried my best at the French knots and they look terrible. So I did not stick with those. So then on June 18th, we are still in June, I finished this one. It's Long Lay the World. Actually, I believe the chart is called And So He Came. And this is a freebie on Paulette Stewart of Plum Street Samplers. It's a freebie on her blog. And I think it called for like a green, a brown, a white, a red. I think that might have been this one. Bless me. I'm sorry for that. I recharted it with some colors from my stash. I really liked this kind of cranberry-ish red. And this is on a 28 count Lugana from Seraphim in Stationery. Or Old Stationery, maybe. Okay, so then, June 23rd, I finished Autumn Tree by Hello from Liz Matthews. There is one more row that's wheat. I stitched this in a beautiful silk from Belsois, and I was not going to have enough to finish the last row of trees. And so my tree's just going to be a little short and squat. And I did that because I didn't want to get part of the way through and not have enough and then get another skein and it not match and be like from a completely different dye lot. So, oh, and this is on an 18 count from Color and Cotton. I think it's either Salt Rock or River Rock. All right, the next one that I finished, I do not actually have in front of me. That is Nutcracker Sled by Lizzie Kate. I did not take a picture of that one before it was gifted, but it was finished back in June, and I never took a picture of it. But I gifted it to my brother. I finished it on the sled. All right, and then the next one, which is 143. This is a chart by Artist Designs. You've seen this one as a fully finish. I finished this one for my husband. 143 is the letters in I love you. And so I did a little bit of modifying in terms of my colors. Specifically, let me see if I can get that to focus in. It's not great. I'm sorry. I changed I think it was black to Gentle Art Soot. And then I used Classic Colorworks Wavy Navy. And then I found a cursive, a backstitch font and put that, and then the year also in that navy. And I finished it. This is one of those 2x3 frames that you can get at Michael's. So that was a finish on that. That was actually a fully finished. I have a few fully finished things, but not a ton. All right, next up, I finished this one on August 3rd. This is Choose Happy. This was a Be Well and Stitch from Hands On Designs. I chose to keep out the Be Well and just do Choose Happy. And I did colors close to the called for or so somewhat. This is on a Lugana from Hand Dye by Stephanie, I think in French Blue. So I finished that one. I'm sorry, my pile fell on the floor. Then I finished this one. This was, so far most everything that you've seen was like a 2020 start. I'm trying to see if there was anything that was a 2019 start. Prairie Birds was a late 2019 start, like December 31st, 2019. Holy Night was also a 2019. Wiseman was not. Strawberry Time was a 2019. So I've ticked off. I think I only have one 2019 whip left. No, two. I apologize, two. And you'll see more about that in my whip parade, so tune in for that. This was a start, and then I finished it pretty quick because I was so enjoying stitching this. This is Barbara Anna Designs Sea Dandelion, and this was in the summer issue of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, and I stitched this on a piece of 16 count chalkboard black. I did some modifying of the colors, like I picked 2 blues from Color and Cotton to do for her tail and her hair instead of the 4 that it called for. And then I swapped in some of these colors in the like seaweed and the like dandelion stem for 2 fun colors of Color and Cotton as well. I think she turned out great. And I made her a little bit pinkier. I gave her kind of a pink, a DMC pink skin tone, very light pink. All right, next up, I finished Stitchy Stars. I stitched this throughout the summer and finished this on September 1st. This is by Lori Holt. Instead of doing 7 long, I did 6 in a 2x3 array, and I pulled colors from my stash that are close to the called for, but I didn't want to do it in DMC, and I definitely didn't want to do it in Weeks Dye Works, so I picked from my stash. And I love how this turned out. This is on a 18 count unnamed Ada from, I'm not sure who. So I apologize about that, not knowing who all these fabrics and things are from. This one's on a Mystic fabric, an 18 count Mystic fabric. And this is from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This is Sealed with a Snowflake. Sealed with a Snowflake. This was in the Just Cross Stitch issue, I think from 2020. And I stitched it in pretty much, I think, the called for. And I really enjoyed this one. I finished this one on September 4th. Then on, try to make sure these don't fall. September 6th, I finished this ornament. This is from the Little Stitcher. It was in the 2020, I think the 2020 ornament issue from Just Cross Stitch. And it's called St. Lucy's Light. I think it's so cute. I used the DMC Etoile for the star she's holding, or the sun she's holding, and the tops of the candles. And I love how it turned out. And I think this is on either 18 or 20 count Vintage Country Mocha. Then I did Autumn Owl etching, which was from Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine. This was 2020's kind of, there were 4 charts that went in this series. This was Autumn Owl etching. And when I was stitching the first owl, I was like, why does this look so familiar to me? So I chose to, at the kind of last minute, to turn it into a porg. So this is my rendition of Autumn Owl etching as a porg. Because I just thought it looked like a porg. And so I finished this on, and it's Heart in Hand. I'm sorry. It was Heart in Hand in the Punch Needle Primitive Stitcher magazine. And this was finished on September 12th. See, it's a porg. We love porgs in our house. All right, so then I finished Love Bug. This is another Patreon exclusive from Ink Circles. I love how this variegates out. I just stitched in the called for DMC. And this was finished on September 16th. I finished another ornament. I need to get on some ornament finishing in this house. This is Mary and Jesus Stained Glass by Snowflake Stitchery, and it's SNO with the 2 dots, flake. This was in a Just Cross Stitch Christmas ornament issue, I think 2020, but it's now available through her Etsy page. This was one that was stitched on a wooden tag, and all of the back to make the rectangle was stitched in DMC 310. I chose to just do like a 2 or 1 stitch outline around the main characters, and I put it on another piece of that 16 count slate Ada that was in the long skinny piece that I got at my LNS. This is a favorite of mine. I love the super rich colors, those blues. So pretty. Then I finished, I'm calling this mini piece. This is one of those small Prairie Schooler cards, and this one has a banner that says peace. I recharted it to say hope because that was my word of the year. And I also did some refiguring with the colors. Instead of using the metallic, I used just a color that kind of was a goldish color. I made it more primitive. And this is another Bee Stitched Me. I think it's an 18 count, maybe boot camp. I'm not sure. But I really enjoyed stitching this. I like the little bit of back stitch on the wings and the feet. So yeah, this was fun. I don't super love my font, but that's okay. It will be all right. All right, this was a 2019 whip that got finished this year. This was finished on October 17th. I'm sorry, I finished mini piece on October 6th. This is Bethlehem. I showed this in a video not too long ago, and I said, oh, I'm not done because I need to put in some more of the stars. I did end up going and putting some random stars in there. This is Bethlehem by Little House Needleworks. I finished this on October 17th. This is on a unnamed Ada 18 count, I think, from Mystic. And I love how this turned out. I did not stitch the bottom border. I just stitched this. And now I need to come up with a finish for it. These are all things that I would like to get fully finished pretty close into the start of the new year. All right, we're coming down to the end here, folks. So then, on November 1st, I finished this piece from Satsuma Street. This is Libra. I am a Libra. And so, but I loved this, even if you weren't a Libra. I love bluebirds. I talk about that quite often, how much I love bluebirds. And I love that it's like a mama and a baby bird. So yes, I had to stitch it. And I stitched it in the called for DMC. It's beautiful on some 18 count navy Ada. All right, then after that, I worked on and finished Dreaming Girl. It's by Barbara Anna. This was a stitch along from last, like 2021 spring. I started it when it started, and then I did not finish it until close to the end of the year, but that's okay. And this is on a 16 count limited edition color and cotton from the beginnings of my stash in 2018. And I love how it turned out. I did darken up her skin tone. But other than that, it's pretty much the called for colors or close. I love how this turned out. And then, let's see, I finished this on Dreaming Girl, I finished on November 4th. This I finished on November 14th. This is Chicken Joy. This is a chart from Priscilla and Chelsea Stitching with the Housewives that was available on her blog for free in 2019. This is a 2019 it's either 2019. I know this is a 2019, and I think that's when the freebie came out. I chose to pull some colors from my stash, like for the joy, and then I changed my tree to pink, a pink variegated, and so that got finished. This is on a no, I apologize. It's on a 20 count chalkboard Ada. And then I do have one that I do not have a picture of. It is the Cozy Christmas Cat. I had shown you that as a finish in a very recent video because I just finished it on the 23rd of November, but it did get fully finished and gifted yesterday. And then I have two that I can show you that got finished on the 22nd and 23rd respectively. They have been gifted, but I have them back because I need to put charms on them for the years. So the first is Noah's Bees. This is from the Noah's Christmas Arc series from Plum Street. I did not stitch the two trees on the sides, and these are fully finished as hanging little puffy ornaments. And I finished that one on the 22nd, and then I finished this one on the 23rd, and this is Noah's Whales. Pardon me. Also from the same series. This is from chart number 2. This is from chart number 3. And so I am gifting 2 of these to my mom every year, but I started with the freebie from Paulette's blog that goes along with them. That's like the doormat. So I've done the doormat. I've done both from the first chart, now both from the second chart, and I started the third chart this year. So next year she'll get one from the third chart and one from the fourth chart. So that equals approximately 40 finishes for the year. I'm very pleased with that. I did start more than 40 things, I think. Maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm super excited about all these things I finished. I'm going to go put them back nicely in my drawer in my craft room where I keep them. And thank you so much for joining me for this Flosstube special edition. Like I said, I will have my weekly update video coming soon, and I also will have a whip parade at some point up before the first of the year. So with that, I want to say /sing, so long, stitch well, I'll see you soon, my friends. Goodbye. Goodbye, and happy starting, stitching, and finishing.